Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Derek. It's another time for another chapter of Atomic Habits by James Clear. Let's remind ourselves why we're here today. It's January of 2021, and lots of people, including myself, love to make New Year's resolutions. Lots of people, including myself, are really bad at keeping New Year's resolutions, and so I want this year, 2021, to be different. And so I'm working through a chapter daily of Atomic Habits to help me create habits that last. And so if you're following along with me, I hope you're finding these challenging and encouraging and motivational to keep going with me. The slump date, most people by January 12th, which if you're watching this in real time was yesterday, most people quit their New Year's resolutions before January 12th. The goal is to keep going. We're still going. If you're with me in real time, to keep going to the end of January, to keep going through the end of the year, and at this time next year, even if you're not watching in real time, the goal is in a year from now to be able to look back and say, wow, I stayed with my goals because I changed things I've never changed before when it comes to keeping my goals. Two really, really important things that I want to recap at the beginning of each video here is the idea that successful people and unsuccessful people have the same goals. So it's not about the goals, it's about the habits and the processes that we have to reach those goals. So we do not rise to the level of our habit or of our goals, we fall to the level of our habits. And so this book is all about having the habits that help us get to the goal that we have always had. Because frankly, our goals probably haven't changed much when it comes to our health or our money or relationships or exercise. We're just now going about and doing it a better way. So today's chapter is really, really interesting to me. I hope it's interesting to you too. It's how family and friends shape your identity and shape your habits. Habits that are attractive are habits that are normal in our culture, whatever culture and environment we find ourselves. Habits that are normal in our culture or environment are habits that we find attractive. That's just the way it is. We can't get around that. Whatever people around us are doing is what we find attractive, whether they're good or not. We find them attractive because we want to, naturally, as humans, be like the group. So we don't choose our first habits, we imitate them. So that's where this peer pressure comes from, because it starts from an early age. As you're growing up, you weren't born with habits. You learn the habits because you imitate them from the people around you, your family at first, your friends, your school friends, and then as you get older, the people you go to work with. We imitate most of our habits, especially from the beginning. We don't choose them. So behaviors that help us fit in are the ones that we find most attractive. And the author James Clear breaks it down into three main categories of people that we find ourselves attracted to keep, not to keep up with, but we compare ourselves to these groups of people, and we tend to do what these groups of people do. So the first one is people that are close to us, people that are around us. Proximity has a very powerful effect on our behavior. We pick up habits from the people around us. And if you think about people that you work with on a consistent basis, or people that you commute with, or people that you go to school with, or whatever it is, you find yourself picking up similar habits to them, and you don't even realize it until you've already adapted that habit, because the habits of people around us have a huge impact on us. It's almost an invisible peer pressure. We don't even realize it's there, but it's an invisible peer pressure to imitate the people who are close to us, to be like them, because what they do, because we want to be like the group, what they do is attractive. We're attracted to do those things. We tend to soak in the qualities and the characteristics of the people around us. So if you want to make your habits even more attractive, surround yourself with people who have the habits that you want to have. Right? This goes back to engineering your environment. Don't just be a consumer of your environment. Be the architect, be the designer of your environment, and find a group that has habits similar to the ones that you want to have. So take the strategy one step further, and there's a two-step process he writes about here in the book that I'm going to read to you. So to make your habits even more attractive, do these two things. Join a culture, join a group where your desired behavior is the normal behavior, because the normal behavior is going to be what you want to do. So join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior, and join a culture in which you already have something in common with the group, so that you're not conflicting with the group. You want to fit right in, and you want to use the positive peer pressure to create the positive peer pressure to adapt to the right habits. The shared identity that you have with the group becomes your personal identity. And so if you want to start cycling, for example, as the example he uses in the book, if you want to start cycling, join a group That's a cyclist. And then you become a part of a group that says, we are cyclists. And the more you're with them, you say, we are cyclists. And then all of a sudden, that starts becoming your personality where you can say, I am a cyclist, because you have adopted the identity of the group. Think about how well this works with good habits, but the scary thing is it also happens with bad habits. If you join a group that has bad habits, you're going to adopt them, and you're going to take on the individual personality, yourself, your identity of that group. So be very careful of the groups that you're part of. They determine which habits you naturally adopt. So that's imitating the close, the people who are close to us. We also imitate the many. And so, very, very interesting experiment done in the 1950s. Individuals were called into a room, and they were handed 2 cards. I will show them to you because it's really, really important as I talk through this. They were handed 2 cards, and when the individual was in the room all by himself, the question was, which of these 3 lines over here does this line match? And it's really obvious which one matches. And everybody got it right when they were called into the room on their own. Then the experiment changed, and this is the really, really interesting part. The experiment changed, and they had a bunch of actors in the room, so maybe 10 actors in the room, and they brought in the one person who didn't know what was going on. And they asked the one person who came in what was going on. Well, actually, they sat them all in a room together in a circle, and all 10 of the actors who were in on the gig went first. Then they said, which of these 3 lines does this length match the closest? And they picked the wrong one. And when it came time to the 11th person who didn't know what was going on, clearly, this first one is not the right answer. But because everybody else had picked this first one, the 11th person who didn't know what was going on picked that short one. Why? Not because it was right, but because everybody else was doing it. We have this tendency to imitate what the many people around us are doing. It's this invisible peer pressure. When we're unsure how to act, we look to the people around us. And so without even knowing it, we are letting people around us, if there's a large group of people around us dictate what we think, what we believe, and how we act. The normal behavior of the tribe, of the group, almost always overpowers the desired behavior of the individual. So again, the groups that you find yourself in are incredibly important to creating the habits to be the type of person who you want to be. This is a most powerful statement. The reward of being accepted is often greater than the reward of winning an argument, looking smart, or finding the truth. So innately inside of us, we have this desire to be accepted rather than to be right. That's scary because so often that can drive us to do the wrong thing, even when we know it's the wrong thing, but because many other people are doing it. So it's so important to find the right tribe, to find the right group of people, because when changing your habits means challenging the tribe, change is unattractive, and frankly, we don't want to do things that are unattractive. So when it comes to imitating the type of habits that we follow, we tend to we tend to do the habits that the close people to us are doing and that the many people around us are doing. And the third thing that we imitate is what the powerful people are doing. What are the highly successful people doing? We're amused or amazed with the idea, what are the powerful people doing? And we want to know, and there's lots of books written about what do powerful people do. Why? Because we imitate people we envy. We imitate people we envy. And you think about all the young athletes, they watch their favorite basketball players or soccer players or baseball players, and they want to play just like them. Even sometimes, my kids will be joking around, but the TV shows they watch, they'll start talking just for fun, like the characters on the TV shows they watch. Why? Because they like them, because they're attracted to them. And not that they're envious of the characters on TV shows, but because they are attracted to imitate the things that the people that they like. So it's incredibly, incredibly important to understand the power that people have on us when it comes to making habits, both good and both bad habits. So if you want to create a good habit, make sure as much as possible that the people close to you have the habit that you want to have, so you find it attractive to do the things that the people around you are doing. Find a tribe of people who are doing the things that you want to do, so that the many people around you are doing what you want to do. And then focus on people who are powerful that are doing what you want to do. And when you find those people who are doing what you want to do, become part of that group. Get close to those people. Follow those people because you're attracted to do the things that the people close to you the many people around you and the powerful people around you do. So if you don't remember anything from this chapter, which I hope you do, but if you don't remember anything from this chapter, I want you to remember that we imitate the habits of the people around us. We soak in the habits. We imitate habits more than we create our own habits. If a behavior can get us approval, respect, or praise, we find it attractive. So find a place to practice your good habits where it is attractive to do so.